Picture this. It's 1961, and a man named Clarence Earl Gideon finds himself in a bit of a pickle. He's been charged with breaking into a pool hall in Florida, with the intent to commit a misdemeanor. Now, Gideon isn't exactly a wealthy guy. He's poor, uneducated, and certainly doesn't have the means to hire a fancy lawyer to defend him in court. So, Gideon does what anyone in his position would do. He asks the court to appoint a lawyer to represent him. But to his surprise, his request is denied. Why? Well, under Florida law at the time, only defendants charged with capital crimes were entitled to a court-appointed lawyer. And so, Gideon is forced to represent himself in court. He's up against an experienced prosecutor, and he doesn't have a clue how to mount a proper defense. Despite his best efforts, he's ultimately convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison. But here's the thing. Gideon is convinced that his Sixth Amendment right to counsel has been violated. He believes that he had a constitutional right to a lawyer, regardless of his financial situation. And so, he decides to take his case all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, you might be thinking, well, of course he did. He was obviously in the right. But keep in mind that in 1961, things were a bit different. At the time, the Supreme Court had only previously held that indigent defendants in capital cases were entitled to court-appointed counsel. So, Gideon's argument that the right to counsel should be extended to all criminal defendants was actually quite groundbreaking. When Gideon's case finally reaches the Supreme Court, the justices have a tough decision to make. Should they extend the right to counsel to all criminal defendants, or stick to their previous ruling that it only applies to capital cases? It's a weighty question, and one that could have far-reaching implications for the American justice system. In the end, though, the Supreme Court makes the right call. In a unanimous decision, the justices rule that the Sixth Amendment right to counsel applies to all criminal defendants, regardless of their financial situation. They argue that the right to counsel is essential to a fair trial and to the American system of justice as a whole. And so, Gideon wins his case. But the impact of the decision goes far beyond just one man's quest for justice. The ruling in Gideon v. Wainwright has had a profound effect on the American legal system, ensuring that all criminal defendants have access to legal representation in a fair trial. Today, public defender programs across the country provide legal representation to indigent defendants who cannot afford an attorney. And the legacy of Gideon v. Wainwright lives on, as a symbol of the importance of equal justice under law and the power of the American legal system to right wrongs and ensure that everyone has a fair shot at justice.